Hi, it's Rich Pellegrino, Rich the Equalizer. Hope all is well. Back from at the Global Woke Institute. Really, this is the new beginning to this series of video podcasts produced by the Global Woke Institute and myself, because we've entered a new momentous period in human history, especially in American, but also world history, where young people across this country, across the globe as well, but I'm focusing really on America right now. Young people have awoken to, I'd have to say, to the lies that they've been told, the lies that have been peddled historically, the lies that probably have been handed down through their parents and through all the institutions as we witness mass protests around the country against what should be a no-brainer that we should all be opposed to, and that is genocide, the killing of innocent children and families and peoples that's taking place in Gaza. So you can see on the news, and if you're not watching the news, you see it on social media. You should see it everywhere, unless you're in a shell, a turtle shell, or hiding somewhere in a bubble. But you can see that young people everywhere, all over the country, and other people of other ages, but protests led by young people on university campuses are taking place. Thankfully, to bring awareness and ask for the end of this bloodshed and to divest for universities, colleges, institutions, companies, countries to divest from these war machines uh, in America, in Israel, and all of the so-called allies, the war machines that just reap death and destruction. And we're witnessing it live now. So I'm going to start this new series with this episode and a letter that I've sent, an open letter. I'm going to read it, paraphrase it, and then what I'd like you to do, if you're interested in taking this journey with us, um, this really revolutionary journey of awakening and awokening, the Global Woke Institute. We've talked about that in my other videos. Our website is howwokeami.org. You can see it there um, if you want to follow us. But if you want to take this journey with us, I suggest you watch the other videos um, as well that I've been producing mostly in this year, but really back a couple of years ago when we fled Afghanistan after that debacle, after we committed genocide in Afghanistan and Iraq, and the aftermath of that. It's all interrelated, it's all connected. Dr. King's triple evils of racism, poverty, and militarism are playing out in full color around the world. And so watch those. Uh, Go to the website, register there if you'd like to take this journey of awakening, because we're in it together now. We want to make sure that this momentum is not lost and that this moment is turned into a movement, an anti-war, genocide, a peace movement. Because yes, peace can work, believe it or not. We've tried war, it doesn't work. We've tried every militaristic option, and it just increases the violence. Violence begets violence. Okay, so here's the open letter, excuse me, with some commentary. And of course, if you'd like the letter, if you didn't receive it, I've posted it. By the way, our YouTube channel is Global Woke Institute, at Global Woke Institute. Our Facebook as well, Global Woke Institute, and we have another page, Global Woke Institute Books, where we recommend what you should be reading, and the same with Instagram and so forth. And of course, you could also look me up, Rich Pellegrino, my pages. There's many followers there, and many everything is cross-posted, so you can't miss it. Okay, so here's the text of my or paraphrase text of my open letter. Uh, it's an open letter and call to action to all of the humanitarian heroes and their supporters protesting the genocide in Palestine and calling for a permanent ceasefire and resolution of the long-standing injustices there to free Palestine, which has been colonized by Europeans and Americans through erecting the state of Israel. Okay, that that history is there. Of course, if you don't know it, we'll help you with that. So anyway, my message to you who are protesting on the campuses, in the streets, wherever you are, I've been doing my own, sometimes one man, sometimes my family protests, ceasefire protests. You could see my posts on social media, the pictures of me doing that. But anyway, uh, you young people and of all ages, but especially the young people, are humanitarian heroes because you've not only realized the lies being told by Israel, the U.S., and their allies. It's really an awakening, a rude awakening. We had it in the 70s and been going ever since, and I'm thankful that I was awakened and awoken then. Okay, so you've realized the lies relating to this conflict and the conflict which has been going on there in Israel and Palestine for decades, which is just a microcosm of the conflicts all around the world that are caused by militarism of countries like the U.S. who are trying to dominate the world. Okay, but not only have you realized it, but you've arisen and are sacrificing your comfort and risking your well-being, your degrees, your very person, your physical safety because you're getting brutalized by the police. Most of the protests are mostly peaceful. It's just propaganda that these are violent protests. The only violence is committed by the police and by law enforcement and by private security that universities have hired. Okay, so you're risking your well-being to expose and confront those lies and the liars of all levels, all the way up to the president, by engaging in largely peaceful protests and disruption, following in the footsteps of all great visionary leaders and their fearless followers. And mine is is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I see him as the founder of the New America and his nonviolent movement. And so, if what I would suggest, if you don't like to read um, or you don't have time to read, watch Dr. King's speeches on YouTube. They're all on YouTube, especially the ones where he opposes the Vietnam War. It's so apropos for this time. Anyway, uh, so you're following in those steps. It's revolutionary, but spiritually revolutionary, not violent revolutionary. And this is not only heroism, but it's among the highest levels of spiritual servitude and sacrifice to humanity that can be done. So bravo for what you're doing. Okay, and I've joined some of them here at KSU and so forth to support there, and I've been doing that since the 70s. So while I stand in support of you every way possible, including literally joining and standing with you at times, as I've said, I want to see you succeed individually and collectively in building a sustainable movement rather than just another moment, which is why I've penned this frank and loving letter okay, and why I'm recording it now. As one myself who has lived through and participated in three of these revolutionary and enlightening uprisings during the past 50 years, which definitely brought about some positive reforms, but did not produce necessary and substantive system and systemic change. That's why we're fighting the same battles over and over again: racism, poverty, and militarism and war. We're fighting the same battles over and over because we haven't produced system and systemic change. We've put band aids, we've patched, we've rescued. All of that's necessary as triage, but you also have to get to the root cause to heal the whole body. And we haven't done that yet. So, starting with the frank realities I've witnessed and learned throughout this history and continuing today. Okay? The first fact, this is a fact, okay, not opinion. I have plenty of references to back anything I'm saying up. The U.S., Israel, and their allies identities, their very identities, are built on a foundation of lies and are fed and sustained by those lies upon which their corrupt systems are so dependent that they'll do whatever is necessary to protect those lies and those systems that support and are fed by these lies. And that includes, they'll do whatever it takes: genocide, assassination, mass arrests, incarceration. We've seen it all. Political incarceration, and all other manners of evil and violence. You know, if that's not enough, uh, their propaganda and brainwashing. I'm talking about America now. And our allies in Europe and so forth, the so-called Western world. Our propaganda and brainwashing are more sophisticated, though more sublime, than that of China, Russia, North Korea, and all other authoritarian regimes, including fundamental Islamic, combined. Okay? So our this is why it's such, a catharsis to confront, to realize these lies. It's basically, if you've seen the movie The Matrix, there's two different realities, at least two, maybe more, but there's two different realities, and you are awaking. If you in the movie, if you take a certain pill, you can get out of the false reality and the lies and into the true reality. Okay, so you're awakening to the true reality, okay, which is a spiritual reality, which is wokefulness and oneness. We talk about that in all of our videos. But we're brainwashed. Americans are brainwashed thinking that, we've created, the reality we've created is the truth. And it's far from it, as you can witness today. This present genocide in Gaza, though evil and tragic, is just another symptom, though a glaring one, uh, of the sick and evil system and its consideration of all its human carnage, including innocent children, as collateral damage to its quest and greed for power and control, which has produced and is producing genocide in Africa, Congo, many places, colonial Africa, ever since Africa was colonized. Um, Rwanda, there's so much genocide that we've contributed to, directly and indirectly. In genocide in Iraq and Afghanistan, we killed over 200,000 innocent people after 9/11 in the so-called war on terror, that 20-year war that we lost. We ran with our tails between our legs out of Afghanistan. Um, and the same people are back in power, the Taliban and so forth. So, in my lifetime, we haven't won any wars, although we've spent trillions of dollars, okay, and caused havoc all over the world and genocide, okay, the killing of innocents. So, uh, and then of course Vietnam in the past, in my day, was a genocide. But the this country was founded on the genocide of Native Americans and mass murder and terror of the transatlantic slave trade and American slavery. So we're born and bred and sustained in violence and oppression. That's just the reality. You're waking up to that, okay? Uh, if you haven't already, if you're not already aware of it. Uh, this genocide in Gaza has helped awaken you. Nothing has changed. The justifications are all the same, bolstered by false religion. You know that Christianity is somehow better than Islam or the other religions. So the Christian West, which is an oxymoron because the churches here don't follow Christianity at all. Turn the other cheek, really? Okay. That what we have is churchianity. We don't have Christianity here at all. But anyway, um, bolstered by false religion, pseudoscience, the sciences that produced race, which is a creation. There's no such thing as different races. False patriotism, that somehow we're exceptional. We have to spread our democracy around the world. We really want to spread, you know, our problems because we can't solve our own problems here at home. We have mass murders, inadequate health, you name it. Um, and then our false superiority complexes, whether gender, race, political, nationalistic, and religious, false superiority complexes. That's what bolsters all these justifications for war and genocide, really. You know, this war is supposed to be to protect the Jews. Israel's not I mean, it's a quote Jewish state, just like we're a Christian country, but that isn't Judaism what they're doing, and they don't represent true Judaism. And many of the protesters on the campuses around the country are Jews. Okay, so uh, and most Americans have are brainwashed and buy into one or more of these false justifications and supremacies. And that's also people of color who buy into, it's people of color who are in high places that have voted, vetoed ceasefire at the United Nations, are heading up to military and testifying before Congress saying there's no evidence of genocide. So, this crosses all racial boundaries, this brainwashing. Um, so, uh, and you have people of color saying, "This is not our battle." Why is this our battle? you you know, uh, it will be when it hits you over the head. So you better awaken now as to and get the answers why it's your battle. Okay. The other fact, the other brutal fact is the U.S. and its allies are expert at putting down and subverting any and all revolutionary movements which attempt to expose the lies and dismantle or significantly change these corrupt systems. This is very important for you young people to understand. Okay, they have and routinely use all the advanced weapons, surveillance tools, technology, psychological techniques, you name it, to assassinate, incarcerate, indoctrinate, and infiltrate, to undermine, divide, and conquer all such movements. And yours, I mean, if anybody is uh, acting violently in these protests, they're usually planted there by the authorities or by the system. Okay, we've seen it in UCLA. You've seen people come and tear up the encampments, qu- saying they're on the other side, while the security forces just watched. So I mean, it's pretty obvious, but they're usually much more subtle than that, how they do it, and they've done it from the 70s onward. Um, and so there's, you know, so they've put down every nonviolent revolutionary movement uh, since in my lifetime since the 70s. We had, we had it all in the 70s. We had the anti-war movement, the peace and love hippie movement, the Black Power movement, the Black Panthers movement. All of it was put down using those tools of assassination, incarceration, infiltration, dividing and conquer. So the U.S. and its allies are expert at putting down these revolutions. Okay? How, However, there's only one tool in power which they don't possess, which is greater than all their powers and tools of division and destruction combined. So here's the loving part, and I know I'm going a little bit long today, but this is an important message. So here's the loving part of my message in my letter. Okay, that was the frank part. The frank part is it's a world, it's a country, it's allies built on lies, everything, the foundations are all built on falsities, and they'll do anything to protect those. Anything and everything. So my first concern is for your well-being. Okay? Somehow I've still survived all of these movements. Okay, so I have some wisdom on how to do that and keep going so that we don't get burned out, so we don't get killed, so we don't get incarcerated, or long term, and so forth. Of course, I have white privilege. Okay, so that's part of it. Um, anyway, so the power. Remember, I said there's one power they don't possess. Number one, they don't have their authentic identity. They don't know who they are really. So they're acting out of a false identity, which causes them to be bullies, you know, because they're insecure. Okay, anybody who has to bomb, kill, mass incarcerate, do all of these things, they're bullies. They don't love themselves. They don't know themselves. Okay, they're following the cult of materialism and greed. Okay, but anyway, the power they don't possess is spiritual power. Okay, not necessarily talking about religious power, although religions can be a source of spirit and are a source of spiritual power when studied and practiced correctly. Okay, spiritual power, that power which produces in individuals their authentic identities and the qualities of wisdom, love, strength, faith, imagination, order, oneness, understanding, will, zeal, all combined, all derived from a profound connection to something greater than oneself, whether it be a higher power of your understanding, the universe, nature, the transcendent realm, the God of your understanding. It's all the same. It's spiritual power. Okay? And so that's individually. Collectively, spiritual power produces unity and oneness, practically manifested in intentional beloved communities, cooperatives, working together, as envisioned by MLK and all the visionary prophets. Okay? That's the new world that's coming that we're supposed to build from the grassroots up. Okay? And spiritually empowered individuals and communities can transform systems from the bottom and grassroots up, not from the top down by getting elected into these corrupt systems and trying to make change there. Okay, although again, I praise everyone's efforts, whoever trying whatever methods, even if you're just in triage, just doing the band-aiding, and rescuing. Okay, but that's not system change that we need. I mean, long-term system change. The good news is that there's already good examples of these intentional beloved communities which we can learn from as we attempt to build our own wherever we are. Okay? And that's the purpose of the Global Woke Institute, is to teach us how to build beloved intentional communities based on spiritual principles. Okay? That are rid of the three evils of racism, poverty, and militarism. Okay, and the other isms, false superiorities. So while this letter and appeal is not meant to discourage you, young people from your protests and attempts to expose the lies and stop the carnage, or to discourage those who are sincerely working to help their fellow human beings by trying to fix or patch the present system, which all of the above I do. I do. I'm on a daily basis. I have more time because I'm semi-retired, so I can do both. But and working to provide mutual aid, to those in need, food, housing, and so forth. Those are all important things to do, but those are all band-aids and temporary fixes, as we've seen throughout the decades. This is an appeal to spend. Let's figure out how to spend and help each other spend at least an equal amount of time building a new system of intentional beloved communities based upon spiritual values and power. That is what my appeal is to you today, and the appeal of the Global Woke Institute. And it can be done. It's been done before. It's okay. So, because based on the results of decades of sincere attempts and sacrifices from moments and movements, no amount of voting, policy changes, advocacy, or protests will accomplish the systemic changes necessary to transform this crumbling and internally rotten system into one of humane and spiritual values. So that's the letter um, that I'm disseminating uh, on campuses through social media and so forth. And it's a call to action. Okay, so let's figure out. It's really talking about self-care. Okay, we don't want you to. I mean, a lot of you have already gotten arrested. We want you to get out with a minimal damage to your life, to your career, livelihood. Although it's a noble sacrifice. Okay, but we need you. We need this. If you're awake, if you're, we want to keep you awake. We want to keep you well and healthy mentally, physically, spiritually, so that we can continue this movement. We need the, I hate to use the militaristic term, but we need you, the soldiers, in this, to keep this, to make this into a movement that really produces systemic change. So that's my mission. Just as I take care of my family, my kids, my grown kids, my grandkids, the same way we have to take care of each other. And there's ways we can do it. Not everybody has a big family like me. Eight grown kids, eight grandchildren, extended family. We're our own community. Oh, we still need you. We need each other. So, if you'd like to join this movement, this intentional beloved community movement, this healing, and spiritual power movement, just contact us. howwokeami.org, uh, and there's you can email us through that or on our social media, YouTube channel, Facebook and Instagram. So that's my introduction to this new series, but go back and watch some of the older videos because it talks about more of the details of everything that's happening. If you really want to know, if you want to know more about the lies, about what's really going on, you know, um, go back and watch those. But going forward, the next episodes will be what can we do now, okay, to keep ourselves healthy, to establish our authentic identities. We're all still on a path of finding who we really are, and as we do that, we discover our powers more. You know, Humans only use what, under 20% or under 30% of their even brain power, much less our spiritual powers. Okay, the powers of attraction, manifestation, intuition, all of these things, meditation, yoga, all of these are tools. Okay, well, thanks. It's Rich Pellegrino. A little bit long tonight. Sorry. Um, Signing off. So I hope to see you on the next one. I'll try to do these every few days and post them out there on YouTube, on the YouTube channel Global Woke Institute. Have a great one. Ciao.